and welcome to another episode of Scott Reads Comics. Today we're covering the Marvel Superheroes Megazine number 5, a reprint title published in 1995 by Marvel Comics, featuring 96 big pages of John Byrne action. And we have a new cover by John Byrne, which sort of reprises some of the action that we'll see in the 3 issues that are reprinted in this square-bound volume from the 90s. And at $2.95, this was a pretty great deal at the time, and today it would be an awesome deal. So the first one is Terror in a Tiny Town, which was originally published in an issue of Byrne's Fantastic Four run. I believe it was in the 240s, I want to say. So yeah, John Byrne, word and pictures, Jim Novak letters, Glynis Wein colors, Jim Salkrop editor, Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. And this is a classic story where it's sort of reprising the whole origin of the FF, which is very cool. In the dream of Johnny Storm here. Pretty neat. And the FF are all in this sort of idyllic town, and you can tell as the reader, obviously, that something's wrong because where's the Baxter Building? Where's New York City? So something weird is happening here. We as the reader know that, and the FF, it will slowly dawn on them that something strange is going on too. Great 90s ads, of course, are going to be peppered throughout this reprint collection. Here we have Reed Richards in a idyllic family life with Sue Richards. And yeah, so they're already kind of putting together like the clues from their subconscious that something is wrong, something is really wrong here. And we have Ben Grimm and Alicia, and of course Alicia's father, who's actually the puppet master, and that's a clue as to what's going on here. You can start to kind of intuit as the reader what's happening. And then we have Ben transforming into the original Thing, and then into his Rocky form at an accelerated rate. And we see Sue is having a nightmare. This is her nightmare. Reed is trying to console her, but again, her subconscious is trying to warn her. And Reed, being the brilliant thinker that he is beginning to sort of put things together. And yet, somehow, I feel it has not always been so. This confusion I feel constantly, the difficulty I have in concentrating on anything for more than a few minutes. Perhaps Vaughn is right. Perhaps I am a hopeless incompetent. And yet... So again, they're beginning to share with each other their misgivings. And of course, here is the Vaughn character, who's obviously, or to me anyway, when I was reading this as a kid, this was obviously Victor Von Doom. And Reed falls asleep and he begins to dream too. And I love these little reprises that Byrne can do in just 4 or 5 panels of the origin of the FF. It's just so cool, and he's just masterful at it. I love his version too of the original Kirby FF, the way they look, the rougher appearance before they begin to refine them through the issues as the series developed. And there we see the Baxter Building in Reed's dream. And we know something is amiss, obviously. Great. This is actually a pretty great house ad for Nova by Chris Marion. Pretty awesome for Nova 13 to 16. Death Storm, More Bang for Your Buck by Chris Marion and Mark Stegbauer. I'm not sure about Mark Stegbauer, but I know Chris Marion's a pretty great artist. I wonder if he was also drawing it, writing and drawing it. Interesting. Reed wakes up. He realizes something's wrong. And he basically confronts the rest of the FF with the knowledge that this is not a real place. You don't believe me, but you will. Our very lives may depend on it. I will make you believe me. And so here they barge in on the man they know who's maybe responsible, the puppet master. And then the true sort of reality that they are faced with appears as we can see a massive Doctor Doom looming over this little town. Who but Doctor Doom? And we can see here now in this incredible full page beginning of chapter 2 exactly what's happened here as the FF, the true FF in their bodies, including Franklin and Alicia, are imprisoned and into little maquettes or dolls, figures that occupy this tiny town, hence the title Terror in a Tiny Town. So totally awesome. One of Doctor Doom's most masterful and diabolical plans. Oh yeah, so we can see the bullpen Boltons. Even in the mid-90s, bullpen Boltons still exist. It's kind of shambling on. Not the same, but the same. So what's the FF going to do? They're going to give up this perfect little life as prisoners of doom in this town where they have had some joy, like Ben, of course, is human in this guise and in a quiet life with Alicia. He's the one who would be hurt the most by them fighting to get out of this. And there's Vaughn, which is the doll that represented Doom in the town. And here we can see radiation kind of set to required acceleration, Ben. Are you certain? No. So do it. It begins. As they did so many years before, the rays penetrate Ben Grimm's body. And this great transformation sequence, again, few could do this as well as Byrne does here. Just totally awesome. And he is the thing again. And he doesn't want Alicia to see him, but she is the loving soul that she is. She accepts him for who he is. So the FF are going to fight their way out of this situation. And we get another house ad. 4 more Marvel masterpieces from 1995. Force Works number 8. Fantastic Force number 6. Very intriguing 90s artwork. Incredible Hulk 427. I think that was still Peter David at that time. New Warriors 56. Nova's in that title, along with Namorita. Great panel here of the Thing as we get back to our story, smashing these Doombots. Love the Doombots. They make excellent hero clicks of the Doombots for 28mm scale gaming, and they're totally awesome. This is a great sequence here of the Invisible Woman using her powers to basically bottle up these Doombots and trap them. Byrne spent his entire run making Sue Richards effectively the most powerful member of the FF. By the time it was over, she had taken her rightful place as the FF's probably most dangerous and powerful and versatile member, which I thought was cool. It was a nice arc for her. So Reed's going to figure this out. They've got to get back into their bodies. Here they escape the little town, and they're in the real world, the quote-unquote real world now. You can see a massive or normal-sized Dr. Doom, who is a giant relative to this maquette of Susan Richards. And this is a great shot here of her, Tiny, using her powers to stun Doom. But he, insolent, buzzing gnat, he traps her. Dr. Doom needs no more than his wits to defeat the likes of you. Man, if that isn't 90s, I don't know what is. That Deodato figure work there. Beginning of a bold new chapter in the Punisher War Journal. Doom puts his mask back on. Really cool shot here of the miniature Human Torch blasting a giant Dr. Doom. And then here, Thing with his massive strength, even at his tiny size, is able to topple Doom into this circuit panel, and the ensuing charge frees the FF and returns them to their normal bodies, and this Doom is inert. And here we can see that He's back in the body of Vaughn, but the populace of the town, led by the miniature puppet master, are assailing him. And then we're done. We're on to our next story. And the weird thing about the way they set this title up was there's no break between issues. You don't get the cover of the Hulk or the cover of the FF. I guess to save page count or whatever, they just throw you into the next issue. So if there isn't this one doesn't start with a traditional splash page. It starts with some panels, as Byrne is often wont to do. So we're kind of like, okay, we're in the Hulk now. This is his Hulk run. It started with 314. I think this one is reprinting 317 or 318. And we have this incredible 2-page spread here. It's just totally awesome. Byrne just crushing the art on this. His 6 issues on the Hulk plus an issue of Marvel Fanfare were pretty amazing. And of course, like many things with John Byrne at that period and going forward from there, it wasn't going to last because he just couldn't get along with the powers that be. He wanted things the way he wanted them, and there wasn't a lot of compromise between either side. So he left the title abruptly. Pretty cool here. Byrne obviously didn't want to draw a traditional wheelchair, so the way around that is, well, Bruce Banner's brilliant, so he engineers this crazy Dyson-style ball wheelchair. And we get a great discussion here of the comparison of the physiognomy of the Hulk between his gray version into the more brutish green version. And news reports have Doc Samson in his new outfit hunting for the actual Hulk. And here we have our credits. John Byrne, script and art. Keith Williams, background inks. Andy Yanchus, coloring. Rick Parker, lettering. Denny O'Neil, editor. Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. So I guess literally Keith Williams is inking everything but the figures. So here, in his purloined news helicopter, Doc Samson actually finds who he thinks is the Hulk. And we have an incredible 2 or 3 page fight sequence here between Doc Samson and an ersatz Hulk as he leaps out of the sky. Lucky this little buzz bomb has an automatic hover setting. I can maneuver right over our big green friend, flip a switch, and drop in uninvited. I did like this new look for Doc Samson, but I prefer his classic costume. But this fight scene is nothing short of incredible, just incredible. Byrne really knows how to bend and manipulate figures in action, and it just looks effortless on the page for him. What another artist would struggle with, he can just do. It's just his genius. And the fight sequence continues, and it's just incredible. And then he realizes it's not the real Hulk. It's some kind of robot, a training robot, Samson, our training robot. Who? And it's the Hulkbusters. This is they're at odds with Samson because they want to be the ones who take down the Hulk. They are working under the remit of Bruce Banner. Samson is working to sort of make up for past things that he did. He actually freed the mindless Hulk who's done all this damage. So he feels guilty and doesn't want anyone else to hunt the Hulk down. So they're in this crazy walker battle mech, for lack of a better term, the 4 Hulkbusters. And it's a pretty cool, this is a real fight now because they have weaponry that could actually hurt the Hulk. So it can really hurt Samson, who's not nearly as resistant as the Hulk. Armando, activate the screamers. D'accord, Carolyn. I have already done so. Voila. What the? Yow. Some kind of hypersonic disruptor effect, obviously intended for use against the real Hulk's almost indestructible hide. And I'm nowhere near as indestructible as he is. That thing could kill me. So they're playing for keeps here, and Samson decides to put an end to this. And he is no slouch, even though he's not the equal of the Hulk. And he topples their walker, but they break off into a separate pod, which is pretty cool. Blast it! I told Bruce Banner the walker mode would be too vulnerable. Carolyn, circle back. We must cut Samson off from the others. So now Samson uses his superhuman leaping ability. He leaps up. Meanwhile, the other two have got the walker back up on its feet, and they blast at Samson, but accidentally hit the pod instead, causing a fiery crash. And Samson is able to pull one of the pilots out, but Carolyn, the other one, he's about to go for her. There's still someone in there, a woman. Flames, too intense for me. I've got to get through. And then the explosion kills her. And Carolyn had a previous relationship with Lara Kett, this other Hulkbuster character. He's trying to go in and get her, and Samson stops him. Samson, you son of a... Easy. Your white-haired friend is right, son. The woman is beyond help now. No, you bloody... I'll kill you. Hey. And then we can see the difference here. Lara Kett's a big, strapping, strong guy, but he's not... Samson is a hideously strong superhuman, and he just flicks him away and then leaps off. Don't get tough, big man. You're just not in my league. Lara Kett. Oof. Now, if you'll just excuse me, I have a more important fish to fry, the real Hulk. So Lara Kett swears vengeance at the end of this. I think he later on becomes a villain in the Peter David run. He might be part of that pair, Rock and Redeemer. They were originally Todd McFarlane. Just character designs, kind of cool designs. Here we have Betty Ross, another member of the Hulk, talking with another member of the Hulkbusters. And earlier in the issue, Bruce had asked Betty to marry him. And so in this great sequence here, almost wordless, we just get one more yes. So next issue is Member of the Wedding. So we get a wedding issue. And then this is the Immortal Marvel 2-in-1 number 50, which is a great time travel story. And I really like John Byrne words and pictures, Joe Sinnott embellishment, Jim Novak letterer, F. Molly colorist, Roger Stern editor, Jim Shooter editor-in-chief, dedicated to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, who started it all. I really like Joe Sinnott's inks on Byrne's pencils, even though he slicks Byrne's pencils up maybe a bit too much. Joe Sinnott's a great inker. He did wonders for Al Milgrom on Avengers. Al Milgrom inked by Mike Mocklin is nothing like Al Milgrom inked by Joe Sinnott. It's just no comparison. And I do like the combination of Sinnott on Byrne's pencils. Not everyone does, but I do. It just gives you kind of a different look. Anyway, this is a pretty great discussion here, so I'll just linger on it a little bit. These latest tests are something which occurred to me when I lost my own powers recently. Remember how when you first became the Thing, you would sometimes revert to Ben Grimm spontaneously for no apparent reason? Well, that was your body trying to shed the effects of the cosmic rays, just as mine finally did. So what? So even your basic appearance has been constantly changing, from something akin to a dinosaur hide to its present rock-like state. Great shot sequence of how the Thing has matured as he's been drawn over the years. Why do I get the feeling you're leading up to something I ain't gonna like? Am I that obvious? Well, Ben, I'm afraid my studies show that your body's becoming more and more comfortable as a Thing. The latest formula of mine would have cured you as you were years ago. But now, I'm sorry, Ben, I'll have to try some other time, some new approach. Sure, don't make it so hard, Stretcho, I understand. Or don't take it so hard, Stretcho. So Ben is lingering here, looking at the formula that would have worked on an older version of himself. And he realizes the FF has a time machine, Doc Doom's time machine, in their sort of trophy room laboratory. So he decides to go back in time and try a radical idea. He's going to give the antidote to his old self. So this is setting up for some very interesting fight scenes coming up here. We see Reed Richards from some pastime. He almost runs into the Thing, but Thing evades him. And then we get the meeting that we were waiting for that was billed on the cover, which is not reprinted in this issue, by the way. An instant of eternity is locked forever into the mind of Benjamin Grimm, as slowly, unsteadily, he rises to face himself. And it's great. I love Byrne's version of the old Thing. I get another Hulk ad. And Mighty Marvel fan phone. I guess this was some money-making scheme. You maybe got to talk to a creator. Okay. Holy, was I really that ugly? No wonder I always wanted to throttle Reed. Ben thinks to himself as the other Ben comes at him. And here they have a very spectacular fight. And again, this is John Byrne fight choreography at its finest. It's totally awesome. And it's neat, too, how this version of the Thing speaks in a less colloquial dialect than the quote-unquote modern Thing. Wait, hold it. Listen to me, will you? I can't fight you. I am you. Don't mock me, monster. I would give my soul to look as human as you. So it's this one thing this fight is serving is it's giving Ben perspective on how things were then and are now. Meanwhile, his past version of himself has wrapped him up like a burrito here in this rubble. That does it. I've had about as much luck with him as with you. Okay, Pug Ugly, you asked for it. Nobody holds the Thing, Buster, not even you. That's awesome. Great shot of his power there. It's impossible. I must be dreaming. Not yet, Bunky, but you just hold that pose, and I'll make this as quick and painless as I can. Your strength is great, but mine is greater. No one is stronger than the Thing. And they collapse a building that was set to be destroyed for a Rand Meacham property, which is a little nod to Iron Fist. Great shot here of the Thing's fist coming out, striking the old Thing. Excellent here how he's using this fire hydrant to drown him with high pressure water. But Ben Grimm, the modern Thing, isn't having any of it. And he once again gets the upper hand here. Help, Martians, this driver of a street cleaner says. Okay, jerk, the game's over. I'm going to ram this thing down your throat. So he's getting a little carried away here. And he realizes it. Holy cow, what am I doing? Let my dad blasted temper run away on me again. I could have killed him. And that ain't exactly what I'm here for. So here they clash in a final close combat. The clash is horrible, murderously powerful, totally without restraint, and brief. It's clobber time, Ugly, and you lose. Great full-page sequence here. He gives him the formula, watches him transform back into Ben Grimm, and he's wondering why he isn't also transforming back, but he uses the time machine to go back to his world. Meanwhile, the original Thing, now transformed into Ben Grimm, is thankful for what happened. And here Reed wraps it up for Ben and why he hasn't changed. Ben, thank God I was able to find you. Don't you realize what your presence in your own past could have done to the time stream? Never mind the lecture, Stretcho. How do I look? Look, I don't. Oh no, Ben, you didn't? Huh? My reflection in that glass panel. But it can't be. It can't. My hands, my face, I'm still the Thing. You don't understand, do you, old friend? You don't realize what's happened. Your past is immutable, Ben. You are what you are. Any change you make in the past results in another reality, a new one caused by your presence. I'm sorry, Ben. I thought you knew. Skip it, Reed. Trip wasn't a total waste. After seeing my old self face to face like that, I don't feel so bad about the kisser I got now. Heck, compared to him, I'm a regular Robert Redford. So that's the end of Marvel 2-in-1 number 50. And they would revisit this storyline in the final issue of Marvel 2-in-1 number 100, which is a double-size issue where Ben goes back in time to visit his cured self, basically going into another alternate reality. And things did not turn out well for that reality. And it's a neat kind of what-if story wrapped into Marvel 2-in-1 number 100. So what was cool about the magazine at this time is you got a letters page. So people would write in and comment on the reprints that showed up in here. I always like to read at least one part of a letter, or if the letter's short, I'll read the whole letter. So here's a short one. Dear Magazine, don't change a thing. I've been waiting a lifetime for a reprint mag like this. Stay with the John Byrne FF. It's perfect. And stick with the Frank Miller Daredevil and JR's Iron Man too. After you finish John Byrne's stint on Hulk, I'd like to see the Al Milgrom transitional issues where he became Gray before you jump into the David McFarlane era. From time to time, if possible, I'd also like to see comments from the respective creators on their past work. Thanks for a great mag. And they answer, that's Chris Curry from Detroit, Michigan. The current plan is to include the essential Al Milgrom issues of The Incredible Hulk in this title, Chris, so as not to jump right into the David McFarlane issues and thus confuse anybody who wouldn't know why the Hulk is suddenly gray and intelligent. Oh, and here's a reprint roundup. John Byrne did his first Doctor Doom story in the triple-size Fantastic Four 236. The Thing got to meet and pound on his younger self in Marvel 2-in-1 number 50. And Doc Samson faced off against the new Hulkbusters in the Incredible Hulk 318. We hope you enjoyed this all Byrne issue of Marvel Superheroes Magazine, and we look forward to hearing what you thought of it. Oh, and here they... So that is it, folks. That is a wrap on Marvel Superheroes Magazine number 5. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, tell your friends, and I'll bring you more later on Scott Reads Comics. Thanks for watching.